You know, some of the most ancient texts in the world hide some truly wild mysteries. And right at the very beginning of the book of Genesis, there's a story so strange, it has puzzled scholars for millennia. Today, we're diving straight into the heart of it.
So let me just ask you this. Did giants once walk the earth? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel, doesn't it? Well, the Bible seems to suggest the answer is yes, and the story it tells is easily one of the most high stakes and honestly controversial in all of Scripture.
And here it is. This is the verse that kicks the whole thing off, Genesis 6:4. It doesn't just vaguely mention giants, it gives them a name, the Nephilim, and it calls them mighty men and men of renown. But this one little verse just blows the doors wide open with questions. Who or what were they really?
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the name itself, Nephilim. In Hebrew, it comes from the root word nephal, which means to fall. So you could literally translate their name as the fallen ones. Now that's a huge clue, right? That name alone points us directly toward the mystery of where they came from.
So the text is super explicit about this part. It says the Nephilim were born from a union between two, let's say, very different groups, the sons of God and the daughters of man. If we want to understand the Nephilim, we have to figure out who their parents were. And that, my friends, is where the real debate begins.
And that brings us to the absolute heart of the puzzle, the question that has stumped people for centuries. Who exactly were these sons of God? The Bible doesn't just come right out and say it, and depending on your answer, well, it completely changes the meaning of this entire incredible story.
Okay, so historically, three main theories have kind of bubbled to the surface. First up, you've got the most ancient, and probably the wildest one, the fallen angel theory. This says the sons of God were actual divine beings who came down, had children with human women, and created these monstrous hybrid offspring. Then there's a view that keeps the whole mess on a human level, the line of Seth theory. Here, the sons of God are the good guys, the righteous descendants of Adam's son Seth. And their big sin was a spiritual one. They broke a covenant by marrying into the worldly, unrighteous line of Cain. And finally, there's a more political take, that these sons of God were just powerful ancient kings who claimed they were divine and took any woman they pleased, and their kids were just symbols of their oppressive rule.
So you can see the two big camps, right? On one side, you have a cosmic violation, an unnatural interference from another realm. On the other, it's all about human corruption, a moral failure from within us. And the implications for what that means about God, humanity, and sin, they are absolutely massive.
But you know what? It almost doesn't matter which origin story you lean towards, because the result was the same. The text is crystal clear. During the time of the Nephilim, the world completely spiraled out of control. It became utterly corrupt and was filled with violence. Their presence is directly linked to a world on the brink of disaster.
And this sets up a terrifying chain of events. It's like dominoes falling. First, this union creates the Nephilim. Second, the world fills with violence. And third, God looks down at all this chaos and decides the only way forward is to hit the reset button, the Great Flood. The Nephilim are basically positioned as a potential trigger for a world-ending catastrophe.
Now you'd think that's it, right? Story over. A great flood comes, wipes the slate clean, problem solved. But here's the crazy part. The mystery of giants doesn't actually end there. Not even close. It pops right back up much later in the biblical story. Just look at this timeline. You have the original Nephilim before the flood. Then, the flood supposedly gets rid of them, but, and this is a huge but, hundreds of years later when Israelite spies enter the Promised Land, they come back totally freaked out. Why? Because they claim they saw descendants of the Nephilim there. Giants so big, the spies felt like grasshoppers. So wait a second. How did they return? This lineage of giants seems to continue all the way up to one of the most famous showdowns in history, David and Goliath.
And let's just pause on the scale we're talking about here. The Philistine giant Goliath was reportedly over 9 feet tall. 9 feet! All of a sudden, this ancient, kind of mythic mystery becomes a very real, very terrifying problem. It's not just some old story from before the flood anymore. It's a tangible threat standing right in front of the nation of Israel.
So, after all that, we're still left with this enduring riddle. What exactly were the Nephilim? Were they the literal hybrid children of fallen angels? Were they a powerful symbol of humanity's own moral decay, the product of oppressive, power-hungry kings? And were they the primary reason God decided to cleanse the entire world with a flood?
Ultimately, you can look at this story in so many different ways. Is it the tale of a cosmic war that spilled over onto Earth? A purely human tragedy about the loss of faith and the rise of violence? Or a powerful mythic symbol about the dangers of unchecked power and forbidden unions? The text gives us the clues, but the answer, well, the riddle of the Nephilim endures.